We'd like to give a special shout out to the following people for making this episode and the rest of Act 3 possible: Louis, Malaya, Reg, Daniel Athern, Osterkim, Vanna, Finch, Dr. Dan Venning, Sleepless Berry, Court, Rogue Canoe, John and Muna, Sadie, Zay the Great, Elliot Kane, and Trident. Thank you for your support. Maraming salamat.
You're listening to Hainay by Motzie Dapul. The Young Man, a Hainay short story, Part 3. Jack Robin was quite a card. That was the least the young man could say of him, because it was difficult to find the words to properly express and encompass everything about the man. His heart belonged solely to Marianne, but it was impossible, in the young man's mind, not to love Jack Robin. He was effervescent, quick-witted, and unafraid to be ridiculous, though ironically, his charisma meant he never quite was. The more time he spent with the sister, the more time he got to know the brother. Marianne often described Jack Robin as a bird, flitting every which way to whatever sparkling thing caught his fancy. He was a dancer of such skill and charm that everyone at the juke joint knew him by name. John Isaac was his proper title, but Jack was who he was, and men and women alike fell at his feet, though he only had eyes for one. It was difficult for the young man to express quite how he felt about young Will. Savard's son was nothing like Jack Robin, though they seemed attached at the hip, for one was never seen without the other. They were often attached at the lips as well, though only in trusted company. Jack seemed eventually to recognize him from the joints they'd both frequent, and said he could trust a man with such refined tastes not to make trouble with father and son. "Does he really not know?" the young man asked once, when he and Marianne were developing spells of protection. "Master Savard," he clarified, "about his son and your brother." "He doesn't need to know, and he trusts Jack," said Marianne. "Not even Mr. Henry deemed it worthy of Master Savard's time, so there's no point in wondering." His concerns laid to rest, the young man was able to spend time with Jack Robin without worry, and realize they had much in common. However, Jack Robin was in many ways what the young man was not, and he yearned to be as free in spirit as the man who invited him to dance, offered to teach him the things he didn't know. They spent many days in one of the Ordo's private rooms simply dancing, with Jack trying to encourage the wallflower that was young Will to learn to cut a rug with him, trying to coax the man out of his shell. It was these moments the young man felt most connected with the Savardair, when they both exchanged wry looks as Jack tried to tempt young Will to dance by dancing with the young man, even going so far as to dip him like a damsel right in front of him. young Will helplessly laughing behind a pale hand. The time they spent in those rooms was deliriously joyful, and even years later, he wished he could go back. It was, ironically, in a moment of intimacy, that Mary Ann told him about her new lover. He paused only briefly as he braided her hair, taking in her words. His fingers were so delicate in their work that she asked where he learned such a thing, and he said he used to do this for his sisters when they were growing up. What he felt was like ice in his veins when he realized what she was telling him, that her heart had been captured by another, one Claudette Jean Villeneuve, who was a distant relation to nobility, and, the young man recalled, a vision of golden-haired beauty. She was like her brother, then, thought the young man. He'd never even had a chance. He breathed through his distress until the movements of his fingers in Mary Ann's soft curls soothed his aching heart. His silence went so long that she asked, quietly, if he judged her for her nature, and he was quick to deny it, saying he simply didn't know what to say. "Say that you're happy for me," said Mary Ann. "As my dearest friend in the world, heart of my heart, close as my brother. But don't say it if it's only a lie." And he said it, and meant it, feeling her relax against his arms. Young Will was a bit of an enigma, though the young man could not place why at first. Though they were both quite close to Jack Robin in very different ways, they could not quite find their footing with each other, and it wasn't until the day he found young Will in the Savard household garden that he realized why. Under a tree in the garden sat young Will, looking tired and pensive. He was often one, but less so the other, and invited the young man to sit with him. "Another falling out with his father," he explained, though it was not a rare thing these days. His father expected so much from him, yet all the same treated him like a child for his weak constitution. He asked the young man if his magic could make for him a glamour that allowed the young man to be young Will for a day. It was, after all, what he wanted most, was it not? The young man sputtered at the remark, but young Will only laughed. "I have eyes," he said, "though Father doesn't want me to see the work that you do together. You would be a far better Savard son than I, and I'd be a happier nobody, not tied to a family name." "You'd be beaten," said the young man, "and driven out of house and home to fend for yourself. But no, you wouldn't be tied to a family name. My own is only for the legal papers, and little more than that." "Aren't names power in magic?" said young Will, and he looked sheepish when the young man looked at him with wide eyes. "As I said, I have eyes. My father keeps me away from your work, but I'm not ignorant to what you and Marianne do for him." "It's dangerous," said the young man. "I think he just wants to protect you." And young Will had no response to that for a while, though he offered his companion a smoke as they settled into the serene quiet, with the bustle of the outside world barely audible. The young man examined his face in the quiet, thinking absently about how it was no surprise that Jack Robin fell in love with him. He was, after all, beautiful in a tragic way. His illnesses made him pale and slight, delicate, and yet the young man could see so much of Savard in him, in his nose and cheekbones and his icy blue eyes. Only, he did not have Savard's commanding presence. The thing that made his father so frightening, the threat and the promise in icy blue eyes that frightened so many lesser men. There was something there, though, beneath it all. Something the young man recognized. The quiet, subdued anger of one who has felt truly powerless. "Is there?" young Will asked eventually. "A spell to free me and to give you what you want?" There were a few spells, the young man thought, but none of them feasible. Matters of power, matters of the soul, matters of memory. They had experimented on all these aspects of magic on some level, though they ran into many obstacles that either required further study, or that further study could not break through. "Maybe one day you'll find a way," young Will said, catching a curl on the young man's ear before kissing his cheek, an absent gesture of intimacy. "Then we'll both be happy." It was a study the young man dedicated himself to, in between the rest of his work. To have found something both he and a dear friend, for that was what young Will was, despite their uncertainty with each other, wanted most in the world. For what use was the great magic they were creating together, if he could not do this for a friend? In some ways, though he did not take part in their affairs and could not do magic, Jack Robin was the most magical of them all. For what else but magic could explain how he could bring such disparate personalities as the friends he made together in a gathering of love and potent joy, of song and dance and laughter? What else but magic could explain how he could egg Richard Henry into a dance when he came to fetch the young man for an unexpected job, when the man had no patience for wasting time? For what else but magic could explain how easily Jack Robin could ingratiate himself to every person he met, every stranger who looked at him with mistrust or ingrained prejudice? What else but magic could explain how even Master Savard himself trusted Jack Robin, when he had such disdain for those who spent their days dancing and drinking and smoking through life the way he did? "There is such a thing," Savard once explained, "that cannot be measured in the sciences, that cannot be quantified in mathematics, that governs humanity. The connection between people, the bonds we form among others as human beings, bonds that need not base themselves in money or favors or exchanges of power. Bonds of love, of family, of friendship, of camaraderie. Chaotic, inexplicable, yet constant and ever-present in human life. It is in this thing that Jack Robin excels, with a skill honed over years as a man who might be hated for things he could not control, but was loved by all who knew him for all that he had learned to control. It was a thing that required its own genius, the kind of genius Mary Ann had, but in a different field entirely. A kind of genius that required a sharp eye, a knowledge of people, and an understanding of the world that many did not have. Jack Robin had all of these, which was why he was in charge of their philanthropic efforts, such that even Richard Henry did not deny his expertise, even if he shook his head at Jack's nifties. Jack knew people, and he didn't seem as separate as the rest. The young man knew these same people by circumstance, for he grew up where he did, and among those he did. Even if these days, his choice of company saw him hobnobbing with the bondholders more than the Bents and the night owls from the joints. Jack knew both, like he did. Knew so many by name, who shook his hand and called him Jack, not Mr. Weeks. He never stood on ceremony, never saw himself as above. He saw all as equal to him. An easy thing to say, but difficult to do. Jack Robin, it seemed, was the only one from his station who'd figured that out. Not even Mary Ann could do that. She wished to help others, and always did. But it was benevolence, charity, love by the community, but apart from them, if only because she had so much to handle day to day that she could only ever visit in person when she found the time. A rarity when her father retired. Jack Robin, on the other hand, he never quite felt apart like his sister did. To all, even the lowest of the low, he felt like a friend, a good man, one who would not look at you different, whether you were from the gutter or born with a silver spoon in your mouth. No matter where you came from or who you were, Jack Robin understood you and made you feel as important as the man he called Godfather. Perhaps that was why the young man let slip such a secret. Perhaps, despite all the work he put into shedding that part of him, he felt comfortable enough to allude to it, such that a genius like Jack Robin could make the connection when he engaged the young man in conversation about their charity work. When the young man said something that gave Jack Robin pause. "Is that what you are?" said Jack, taking the young man in. And the young man didn't understand what he meant until Jack spoke a secret, his secret, into the world. A secret the young man had never wanted anyone to know. It frightened him to the very core, a terrible freeze seeping into his bones. "You're afraid they might know? But why?" And the young man explained his circumstances, what led him to his work in the first place. Jack Robin listened and nodded, and the young man knew that if it was anyone else, he would have cut and run. Or worse. This was Jack Robin. There was no one who could understand or say the right things or deserve the trust that the young man had in him. For even if he loved Mary Ann, even if he looked to Richard Henry for guidance, and even if he wished nothing more than to be like Master Savard, none of them would have heard this and understood the way Jack Robin did. His secret, the thing that he had kept from all others. The young man so feared to be known, and now, here was a man who knew him better than anybody. And Jack Robin merely smiled, winked at him, and said, "I'll take it to the grave." And the young man believed him. He had never attended a wedding, and this was not one of those, not in the eyes of the law or any church. But it mattered to those who came to these private rooms that someone bore witness to the ceremony, and the young man was the one who witnessed it. Mary Ann and Claudette Jean, exchanging rings with serene smiles on their faces. Jack Robin and young Will doing the same. It was meant to be a small, silly thing, playing pretend. But it meant everything. Joy and sadness intertwined when the young man looked at them, looked at Mary Ann, saw the uncomplicated happiness on her face that he was blessed to be trusted with, but that was not meant for him. Looked at young Will, who seemed so unhappy in life, weighed down by ailments both physical and metaphysical, but lost that heaviness as he stared at the ring on his hand through tears. Looked at Jack Robin, who trusted him with his secret like an exchange, a promise that his own secret would not pass his lips, putting them on equal footing. For that was what Jack cared about most, a fairness not afforded by life that he still worked toward in his own. And the young man said, when he hugged his dear friend, his brother, "I'll take it to the grave." And Jack Robin believed him, even if.
You're listening to Hainay by Motzie Dapul.
Hey everyone, this is Motzie, creator of the Hainay podcast. Hainay is a podcast produced by myself, Yoy Halago, and Alyssa Jimenez, and co-created by Reg Helly, and licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. This episode was co-produced by Jesse Goodsell, and written and directed by Motzie Dapul, who also plays the role of Mary Datuin. If you'd like to chat with other listeners when episodes go live, we do a live premiere 3 times a month, on Sundays at 9 p.m. EST or Toronto time, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HainayPod. To help support the production of Hainay, you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/HainayPod. You'll get to listen to episodes ad-free and get to be part of our early access program, where episodes are released 3 days early on Thursday at 9 p.m. EST or Toronto time. You can also get bonus audio, art, video, and much more. Speaking of Patreon, we'd love to give a shout out to the following patrons for all their amazing support: Kathy S., Didi Chenuk, Johnny Demented, Maya B., Chandra, Adj W., Tony Baloney, Nay, Boyo, Phoenix Luna, Kate Jordan, Tiana Harvey, Drakukard, Sabine, Ben, Sean, Josh the Alchemist, Jess Snow, Maddie Remigio, Talon, Nunette Dapul, Mika, Matthew Upton, Anna, Sooks, Becca Terrier, Amelia Brownstein, Diana Cos, Melissa, Emma Heilig, Faye Fungi, Pablo Neurotic, Oscar Kim, Evie Smith, Megan, Jesse Goodsell, Malaya Light, and Victoria Goodwin. If you can't subscribe monthly, you also have the option to buy us some milk tea on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/HainayPod, HINAYPOD. You can even buy ad-free episodes over there if you purchase our Hainay album, which has the ad-free, credits-free version of our episodes from Act 1 and 2. You also get this album for free as a patron. Check out our website, hainaypod.com, for more news and updates. And don't forget to follow us on all socials, on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, and now Blue Sky. Hainay is available on Acast and wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you enjoy our Act 3 episodes. And as always, thank you, we love you, and hanggang sa muli.